Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish.
Today we're talking about thoughts. Thoughts. Because you've heard the saying before, thoughts become things. You've heard that. So that is very true. But also there is a lot of different types of thoughts that we can have. And this I think is really good, especially after winding down from Friday. From Friday, we had a really intense question from Lucy. And it was really, I thought really, she said, I don't know if this is appropriate. And I'm like, girlfriend, this is appropriate. And the reason that I, really like to dig into that question, because it really shows us, and the reason I'm referencing it now, it really shows us that when we succumb, if you will, to constrictive thoughts, that we get the results of things in our lives that we just don't want. So when I was starting to just research this a little bit today and talk about all of this, I found that there are two types of thoughts. There's the constrictive thoughts and there's expansive thoughts. And we know about this because we talk about this, that what you think about expands. What you dwell upon becomes your destiny. Well, we think of expansive, and expansive is very positive. Expansive, when you look at the Grand Canyon, what do you think? Expansive. When you look at this big, beautiful sky, Mark was telling me the other day when he got up with the dog at 5 o'clock in the morning, he said the sky was beautiful and expansive and dark, and it looked like diamonds over black velvet, things like that. When we see expansive, we feel that expansiveness in our chest, don't we? Do you know what I mean? Do you feel that sometimes? When you survey nature in all its expansive glory, you feel it back. You feel it back, right? That's when your heart practically explodes. Your beautiful self just goes, oh, this is amazing. The gratitude you feel, all the things, you feel all the things. When you're constricted, think about being in a straitjacket. No, thank you. How about a boa constrictor being around you? No, thanks. What does it feel like to be constricted? To be constricted is stifling. To be constricted means that you're held back. It means that you can barely breathe. You know about that. So what we want to be is we want to be thoughtful people. When we're full of good, healthy, expansive thoughts, then everything is on the menu. We have this amazing buffet of choice. We can decide on these life choices. This works for me. This works for me. I love this. I love that. Hey, Amy, good to see you. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Lucy says she's feeling free. Exactly. Freedom comes with expansion. Constrictive holds you down. So we have two types of thoughts. They're expansive or constrictive. And we can start putting them through this filtration system. Like, what am I thinking right now? And you remember, we've talked about this before. We need to be thinkers about our thinking. Don't just allow your thoughts to have free reign and to do whatever they want to do in your life, because that will get you from the place of being thoughtful to being thoughtless. We think about somebody who is a thoughtful person. Oh, she's so thoughtful. When we think of somebody who's thoughtful, they think of others. They're thinking of how that makes you feel. They're interested in you. They're interested in the environment and the people around you. They're interested. Thoughtful people are a whole lot different than thoughtless people. Thoughtless people are people you don't want to spend time with, but thoughtlessness is what we do when we are not aware of our thoughts. We get thoughtless, and I'm not talking about, necessarily running somebody over or being, horrible to someone, but thoughtlessness leads to a place of entertaining thoughts that just shouldn't be there. Not if you want to live a vibrant life. So The thing that we have to look at all the time, though, is that emotions can drive the thoughts. Emotions can do that. And you know exactly what emotions are. They're fleeting things. But when we give them the keys to the car, it's like handing it to your 6-year-old and saying, go ahead, drive the car. Your 6-year-old has watched you turn the key, put the car in, in go and drive. So your 6-year-old has an idea of how the car operates. But are you really going to allow a 6-year-old to really have full reign of that car, that dangerous vehicle that could take her out or him out and everyone else around her, or buildings and other things? This is exactly it. This is exactly it, because when we allow them to have command of such a vehicle, we are allowing them to have command of our entire life, because our thoughts are going to drive it. Our thoughts are going to drive our lives in either a constrictive way or an expansive way. So we have to remember that. And when we have this emotions, and I am never going to tell you to ignore your emotions or pretend they don't exist, but what I will tell you is that understand that emotions just come and then they go. They're like waves, in an ocean. Here it comes. Oh my gosh, it's going to crash on you. Boom. And then it goes to shore and we're done. That's how emotions are. If we process our emotions and allow for them and have them in a certain container, then great. But if we don't, and we just say, whatever you want to do, emotions, whatever, handing the keys to your car to your 6-year-old. That's it. Because emotions will drive thoughts right into the ground. They'll take you from being expansive one day to the next day just being, oh, there's nothing's going to work in my life. My life is crap. It doesn't work that way. So if you're allowing your body, if you're allowing your thoughts to do this, you're allowing your 6-year-old to drive your car. I just want you to think in those terms, because as ridiculous as that sounds, it's pretty much on a par of what happens when our thought life is just going bonkers all over the place. Michael Gervais, I guess is how you spell his name, Gervais. He says he has a, oh boy, now I don't remember. He has a podcast, and like it's perfect mastery or excellent mastery or some kind of a mastery is in it. But he says that you can feel the difference between expansion and constriction. And, and guess what? Guess what the solution is to this? Good old-fashioned self-talk. So yesterday, was it yesterday? I don't know. Or the day before, we had Connect 4 board downstairs, and my son wanted to play, and we were going to do a big tournament or whatever, if you know what Connect 4 is. And I said, I know exactly where that is. We have this whole storage area where we keep the Christmas stuff and everything. And I'm looking through it, and I'm opening up boxes, and I know it's here. And I'm talking to myself the whole time. I know it's here. Leanne, you know where it's here. Remember, you put it in the box. You know exactly where it is. We can go get it. I'm talking to myself like this. And then Mark comes downstairs, and he walks in, and he said, who are you talking to? I said, myself. I very proudly said myself, because I am going to somehow or another, this is just a habit that I pulled together of always constantly speaking to myself in ways that are positive, that are going to be building up, that are saying that I have confidence in you, even if it is about finding a stupid game in the basement, in a box somewhere. Because when you do this, you're always letting yourself know that you're expansive, that your expectation for yourself is on a higher level, and that you expect very much to get the very thing that you need to go get. Even if it's a dumb game downstairs in the basement, like I said, or it's getting that job, or it's creating something out of nothing, coloring in a coloring book. Whatever it is. The thing is that the ability to expand our horizons, to have this incredible, expansive thought life, gives us an incredibly expansive life. And when we talk this way about ourselves, we are letting ourselves know at all times that this is the deal. Remember, we are always, our brains go to the monkey brain, and it goes to the scary place of thinking, oh, risk, I hate it. The amygdala is always lighting you up, but you also get a reward from the amygdala when you say, shut up, it's all going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You take the risk anyway, and then you get the reward with the dopamine and the serotonin and all of that. Our bodies are constantly, they're chemistry labs, for heaven's sakes. There's things going on inside of us all the time. And the way we feel and the things that we think about and how we react is going to determine the chemical that gets released. So we can reward the amygdala by ignoring it. That's how we do it. Or if we, unfortunately, if we go the other way and reward the amygdala by saying, oh, you're right, I'm just going to knuckle down and not do anything, then we're going to get all the negative stuff that goes with it. Do you see how this works? Isn't this incredible? That is how our thoughts open us up to the vibrant life that we want, or shut us down from it. Expansive, constrictive. Simple. Very, very simple. So he says you can feel the difference between expansive and constrictive, and you can. Have you felt that way before? When you've observed nature, like we were talking about, you're in a place where you feel very supported and very loved, you feel expansive. When you are in a place where you're put down and not, upheld and loved up, you don't feel that way at all. So this is how it is. It's sort of like, if you're sitting on the couch and you've got a big project, maybe you're like your knitter or something like that, you got everything there, and your spouse walks in and you say, oh, let me just make a space for you. That makes your husband feel so good and so lovely and so cared about. This is important to her. She's knitting all this stuff, but she wanted to make a space for me. This is how we are. So we have to look at this. What do constricting thoughts do? They choke out all the good stuff that we want in our lives. They shrink our options, right? They shrink our abilities. They shrink our talents. They tell us we're nothing. They put us down. They put us into the place of shame. That's what constrictive thoughts do. Whereas expansive thoughts, anything is on the menu. Anything. It is the best buffet you've ever been to in your life, and you get to choose what you want. So we need to look at all of this, because I don't want you to diminish who you are anymore. That's part of what we're talking about here. Your thoughts are going to diminish you, or they're going to support you or up-level you, regardless of what it is that you're doing. Everything that you're doing is important. Everything that you're doing has that much of a weight on what you're going to do next. So excellence, then, what does it require? It requires repetition. Repetition. And so often, we put stuff on repeat and we get bored and we're I don't want to do that necessarily. But you know what? We can do it in an up-leveled and honoring way when we start to look at our lives just a little bit different. Get this, right? Get this. Daily routine, we turn that into a daily ritual because it's special. It's incredible. It bookends our lives. We have this morning ritual that we do, that we start with gratitude. We have a meditation. We journal. We pray. We read to enrich our spirits and our lives. We do these things because it up levels everything in our thinking and everything. This is it. This is absolutely it. Secondarily, we look at our checklists. What do our checklists become? It's not a bunch of boring stuff. You know what our checklists are? Our checklists are the means for our goals. This is how we're going to get there. One check at a time and at a time. Is that exciting or what? We can look at them slightly different. We take off our glasses and we put on the rose-colored glasses so that we can see things in the way we want to see them. Isn't it amazing how just a little flip of the switch can change things, Jane? Expansive thoughts instead of expansive thighs. I agree with that. Casey, that's beautiful. I like to think of it this way. I would never say something like that to one of my loved ones. Why on earth would I talk to myself like that? It's exactly it. Because we do that, don't we? We do that. We say horrible things about ourselves. And that is something we don't want expanded. We don't want that constrictive thought. We don't want that shame-based thinking on ourselves. Haven't you been piled on enough? Haven't we done enough of that in our lives? It's time to lose it. And that's why I'm saying when we look at this and we start to, instead of seeing our checklist as just, oh, got to get this done. And we start thinking, oh, this is getting me closer to my goal. Check that box. Check. I'm getting even closer. How exciting does that become? And gratitude and wonder replace, petty frustration and narrow thinking. Are you seeing this? This is good stuff. Oh, thanks, Nancy. She said I had pretty skin. Well, guess what? Beauty sport. A researcher at Carolina said it takes 3 positives to cancel 1 negative. And I'm going to say this, that it's because the negative thinking has become such a habit. And it's almost to the place of not even thinking about that. And this positive self-talk, which sounds like a bunch of murmur, we've heard this over and over again. Of course we have. But it is known to work. The research shows that it works. So go into the basement, go find the game, and talk to yourself. Yes, Leanne, you can find that game. You've got this, girl. You are the one that put it in the box, and it is going to show itself and where it was. And you know what? Sure enough, it did. I found the box, and it even said Connect 4 on it. Boom. That's exactly how this thing goes. So if you want a vibrant life, you have to work then on expanding your thoughts. Cool? Right? And here's how. I've got 5 things for you. You who write things down. We got a lot of gals who write things down. What is true and lovely? I love that. What is true and what is lovely? Because truth and loveliness go together hand in hand. Loveliness, there's the illusion of loveliness, like people with their makeup tutorials and everything, the illusion of loveliness. But there's the true loveliness, and you see true beauty when you walk outside into nature. You see true beauty when you see an old couple holding a hand. You see true beauty in so many different ways. And when you see that and connect with that truth, there it is. Truth and beauty go hand in hand. Number 2 is gratitude practice on a daily basis. You cannot go through this life with ingratitude in your heart and have a vibrant life. It will not work because you will not be given anything more. 2 PS, by the way. When we're full of gratitude, we're gracious, we're appreciative, we're accepting, and guess what? There's always more around the corner. There's always more. Jesus turned water into wine, and there was more wine than anything. Think about all the things. Think about all these truths of how abundant it all is. If you think in terms of abundance and expansive thinking is abundance, you're going to see this on repeat. The pitcher is never empty, ever. It just pour and pour and pour some more. And when you think that your heart is full and it can't hold any more, you will, because that's what feeds your beautiful self. That's what causes this expansiveness. And number 3 is hunt safely, right? Hunt safely. In other words, go hunting, and your safety valve is when your amygdala says no. You know what that is. Your amygdala is saying too risky, too hard, I'm on the struggle bus. You know what to do with that. Shoot it down. And instead go to the place of bringing in the good stuff. And the good stuff is, hey, you know what, amygdala? Calm down. It's cool. I'm going to go exercise anyway. I'm going to go do this anyway. And you are going to get rewarded with a little serotonin, a little dopamine. We're all going to feel better. Yeah, we're in it together. That kind of thing. And I'm telling you, I think like this myself, because if we understand how our body functions, we can totally leverage that for our own work, good. Number 4, decide to shift. You can do this at any time. I want you to understand something. You are not a tree. You're not planted where you are, and that's it, the end of story. You can shift. You can move. You can make a different decision. You can say that's enough. It's all up to you. So make a decision to shift. Make a decision to expand your thinking. Number 5, build that bridge. We're going to be talking about a mindful bridge tomorrow. Mindfulness is what builds that bridge. You're here, you want to go there, and in between is a gap. It's like that for everyone. It's part of the journey. It's part of everything. It is part of the way we operate. It is. And when we understand what that mindful gap is, and we understand that it requires a bridge, then we are going to be the most diligent bridge builders in the whole entire planet. And there's a lot of goodies that come with that. Peace be with you. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.